Well, hello everybody. How you doing? Welcome to the big show. My name is Mickey and this is Mickey in the Middle, the quintessential show for middle Americans where all middle Americans are welcome. It doesn't matter whether you're stupid, and apparently a lot of people in the country uh went to go vote yesterday, and I'm disappointed in them. But it doesn't matter whether you're stupid or whether you're smart, whether you're tall, whether you're smart. It doesn't matter where you've been or where you're going. It just matters that you're here right now with me, because I am Mickey in the Middle, the quintessential show for middle Americans. Uh, we don't believe in the 20% of the crazies on the right or the 20% of the crazies on the left. We're trying to deal with the 60% of the semi-sane people in the middle. Now, New York City just elected a socialist to be the mayor. He's 35 years old and he's a socialist. And he's like, I'm going to give you grocery stores, and I'm going to give you frozen rent, and I'm going to give you everything you ever wanted. Want to know why? Because he's a politician. He overpromises. Hey, Carolyn, how are you doing? Welcome to the big show. I'm glad that you're here with me. And you win the Mickey in the Middle gold medal for the comments, first into the comment section. So congratulations, Carolyn. I'm glad that you're here. All right. So my throat is a little sore than I thought, so I'm going to be drinking some iced tea. Before we get going, the theme of tonight's show is people are stupid and the government cannot be trusted. This is very important, and we're going to get to all of the reasons why the government cannot be trusted, why politicians cannot be trusted. We're going to talk specific examples, and we're going to light this up without trying to be too offensive to anybody, because I don't want to be offensive. This show is not meant to be offensive. It's meant to be informative about the system of government that we have, the system of economics that we have, and because it's all wrapped around freedom. And so we're going to get that in here in just a second. So let's do the kickoff of the show the way that we normally do, which is, hey, the Constitution of the United States of America. There she is. We the people, the greatest document ever written. It's a framework. Hey, I got to say this. It's a framework. It's all that it is. The Constitution of the United States is nothing more than a framework about how things are supposed to be. They have a three-branch government. They're supposed to be co-equal. But as a founding father said, the judicial branch isn't supposed to have any power. They're just supposed to be able to decide things between people, between entities, and between different parts of the government. So it's supposed to be the legislative branch is supposed to have the most power. And that's what it's outlined in the Constitution of the United States. So, referring to my handy-dandy Constitution of the United States, I'm going to turn to page 1, Article 1. All legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and a House of Representatives. That's the number one thing that's in the book, Constitution of the United States. There, right there, is a preamble to the Constitution of the United States. It says, we the people. I just showed you that earlier. And then Article 1. All legislative power herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and the House of Representatives. So that's where we're going to start right after we do the great, big, huge we the people thing. And, wait a minute. What did I do? I'm killing myself. Hold on just a second. I got to get back to, where am I? I don't even know where I am. All right, one moment. There we go. I'm so sorry, everybody. All right, number 2, the population. You are sharing the world with 256,567,363 people. So congratulations. Those are all of your humankind that are out there. And then the United States of America is $38 trillion in debt. 38 trillion, 158 billion, 25,190,000. Look at that. I couldn't even get the 300,000, 400,000, 500,000, 600,000. Man, is that absolutely ridiculous or what? It's not sustainable. But there we go. So hey, Logan Calcaterra, glad to see that you're with us. I hope you say hi to your mom and dad for me. I greatly appreciate it. Hopefully I'll be able to get up there and see the V again sometime soon. All right. So, Constitution of the United States. This is a framework this is the way that this works. All of the states' governments are also supposed to be based on this. They're supposed to have an executive branch, a legislative branch, and a judicial branch. So that's the way that the entire country is supposed to be set up. But then the people in New York decided that they wanted to vote for a socialist. Now, here's the way the socialist works. A socialist says, hey, everybody is equal, and everybody puts into the pot, and everybody takes out of the pot. Except this socialist is like, except for the rich people. The rich people can't take out of the pot because they got to be putting in the pot. And then the poor people are going to be taken out of the pot. And in order to make sure that that happens, I'm going to provide grocery stores for everyone. So I got a big problem with Mondami or whatever his name is, saying that he's going to give grocery stores and he's going to do something. Here's a specific example that I have. I live in a small town in Arkansas. And my small town, I'm not happy with the way that the small town government is running. But I'm going to tell you, I'm being selfish because I don't want anybody else to move here. We got a great town. We got a great mayor. We got a great Parks and Rec section. We got great people here. We have a bunch of restaurants. We have a bunch of businesses. We're close enough to Little Rock that if you want to commute to Little Rock, you can commute to Little Rock or North Little Rock, Sherwood, Gravel Ridge, Searcy, Conway. We're not centrally located, but we're centrally located, if you know what I mean. Here's what the thing is. The government in my town has decided that they want to boost up the Parks and Rec department in order to attract people to come into town and empty out their wallets and then go back home. That is why I am a big fan of the way that our city is running the Parks and Recreation Department. So we got a whole bunch of soccer fields. We got a whole bunch of baseball fields. We got a whole bunch of softball fields. We got a huge complex that we can run 12 or 15 or 18 volleyball games at the same time. Like 8 basketball courts all at the same time. It's big enough to run 20 pickleball courts all at the same time. That's great because they want to host baseball, softball, football, soccer, pickleball, volleyball, basketball tournaments. So all of these teams come from all over the United States, come into Cabot, they stay in the hotels, they spend their money in the restaurants, they dump it into the Parks and Rec department, and then they go home. That's great. I love it. Matter of fact, I did all I could to make sure that the bond that we had to get for the city passed in an election that the people voted on, that we would do all these upgrades to the Park and Rec system. Now, in the bond, it was upgrade internet system for the entire city, get a better police department, get a better fire department, improve our tornado warning system right here in Arkansas. So there was a lot to the bond mission, but I worked very, very hard to get that bond issue passed so that we can set it up the way that it is. But it does have its drawbacks, and that's what I want to talk to you about. Because when Parks and Rec says, hey, look here, we're going to open up a gym and we're going to have a discounted rate so people can come to our gym, which, by the way, also has a swimming pool, they are literally taking business or potential business away from other businesses in a capitalist society. So if you have an option of going to a cheaper government facility or going to a more expensive private gym, do you go to the government store, which is lower cost to you, and not go to the commercial business, which has a gym that doesn't have a swimming pool and doesn't have a racquetball court, right? So you don't go there. So what happens when you open that up? Well, what happens is all of the gyms don't make enough revenue because the government is taking those revenue streams and all the businesses close. So the number of gyms that went under because of competition and because the government is now in direct competition. It's not even close. Anybody can go to this gym that the government now has, which is a great facility. It's part of the Parks and Rec department. I love it. I go there. I'm a member, but I never had a gym membership before. But the point of that is that why would I ever go downtown if I can get it at a cheaper cost to the government. Now, all those businesses close. Once the businesses close, what is keeping Parks and Rec and our local government from just providing bad service, hiring bad people? They want to keep their costs low in order to keep it very economical for the people that are in the town. But if you don't charge enough, the city floats it and keeps it alive, although you're getting worse and worse service over time. Now, our Parks and Recs is doing a great job of keeping it up. I'm not saying that, but I'm going to use another example that I know exists in the world where the services did not get better. So there's a golf course that will remain nameless that is run by the city. And it is, I went there a few months ago, not our city. All three of our golf courses are publicly owned. But I went to another city and they were charging dirt cheap golf prices in order to keep this golf course alive, in order to have golf for the citizens of the city. And it just, the golf course, quality of the golf course kept going down and down and down. And because they didn't have enough money to pay a greenskeeper, they didn't have enough money to pay for all of the equipment that is necessary in order to upkeep the golf course. So this is a city-run golf course that goes downhill, 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 downhill. And then the city goes, well, the golf course isn't making any money. And the reason the golf course isn't making any money is because the golf course is total shit. So because nobody wants to play on the golf course, then the city blames the customers that don't show up. And they go, well, you guys aren't supporting the golf course. And the customers are saying, well, we're not supporting the golf course because it's total shit. And now you don't have money to pay a greenskeeper. Now it takes from the general fund in order to keep the golf course alive. And then they decide to cut the golf course because they blame the customers when the people that are running the golf course and the people that are running the city don't understand how a business works. So they do a shit job. And the next thing you know is because all of the other golf courses in the area were run out of business because the government went into business. The government then has no competition. And because the government has no competition, it eventually closes because it turns to total shit. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense to everybody. So what's Mondami doing? Mondami in New York City is going to go in direct competition with the grocery stores in the city. And he's going to go, we're going to get you economical food. Well, the prices of a grocery store are set for a reason. They're not trying to rip people off. They're trying to stay in business. So they want to have a better price on their shelves for whatever they're selling. Let's say it's chips. They want to have the best price for chips in order to beat their competition. And then their competition says, hey, what's going on over there? Oh, wow, they got really cheap prices on chips. So they lower the price of chips to match them or slightly below them. And then eventually everything meets an equilibrium so that people are patronizing both of the stores or 3 stores or 4 stores. That's how gas stations stay in business. And that's how gas prices are supposed to be getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and they are slowly over time now that Donald Trump has taken over. But the whole idea is competition breeds excellence and competition breeds lower prices. If the government gets into the grocery store business, all of the private businesses are going to go out of business, and then there's nothing to keep the grocery store run by the government at top notch. It just doesn't make sense, right? So let's say that I open up a hamburger joint. I open up a hamburger joint, and I'm the only hamburger joint in town. And all of a sudden, I realize that, hey, people are coming here, and I'm the only option for people to go out in the town and get a hamburger. So I start raising my prices. And I raise them and I raise them. And eventually, a certain number of customers will not go to my hamburger place because it's too expensive for them. But I want to keep that price just high enough where I'm getting enough people with enough profit in order to maintain profitability over a long period of time. What happens when somebody else opens up a hamburger store across the street from me? They're going to look at the prices that I have and they're going to go, wow, I can give people a hamburger for a lot cheaper than that. So they come in with a cheaper hamburger. Now, if it's the same quality of hamburger and I want to stay in business, I'm going to have to lower my price in order to get the same people that he's now stealing from me as customers. Stealing is used loosely. So that means that now you have competition, which is going to reduce prices. And I've given you two very specific examples: hamburger stores and golf courses. When the government takes over and they drive everybody else out of business, nothing keeps them from going in. And now all of a sudden, they also have the obligation to feed the people. Did you hear what I said? They have an obligation to feed the people. Well, no, they actually don't have an obligation to feed anybody. It's not in anybody's charter. It's not in anybody's constitution. It's not in anybody's way of life that these grocery stores have to provide food for the people. It's not written in there, right? So the way that a business works is a business sees the overall environment. They do a demographic study of the local area. So Alicia, here in our city, did a demographic study and what businesses were thriving, what businesses we had, what businesses we didn't have. And then she put that out to the public and she said, hey, look here, we don't have any music stores. All of the music stores are across town and or in different cities. We don't have we have limited printing stores. We have a printing store, right? But we don't have the big Office Depots or Office Max or anything like that, right? But we do have a printing store. There are several businesses that were identified by the Economic Development Council in Cabot, Arkansas, to say what businesses we don't have, what businesses we have too many of, and which businesses it would be good to get into. And that's to be able to bring competition to keep prices and to keep us all happy in the city of Cabot. But they don't have any obligation to feed any of us. They don't have any obligation to give any of us gas. They don't have any obligation to make sure that we have a Hallmark store or a tire store, or I'm just going right down the highway, or a coffee shop or a pet store or a Chick-fil-A or a pawn shop. The government has no obligation to provide that for anybody. So because the government doesn't have any obligation to provide that, when a socialist comes along and says, hey, I'm going to give you cheap groceries and I'm going to give you free buses and I'm going to stabilize rents and I'm going to bring down the cost of electricity, they are bullshitting you because they don't have the ability to do that, because market forces say that they don't have the ability to do that. So, sticking with the theme that people are stupid and governments can't be trusted, why would you ever trust a government? Why would you ever trust the government? Why would you ever trust a politician? Politicians are going to kiss your ass and tell you everything you want to hear before they get elected. They're going to shake your hands and kiss your babies. But in the long run, they're going to stick with their constituents that are paying them the dollars, the donors, and not stick around with the constituents that are not paying them the dollars. They don't really care about what you do. They don't care about what you think, as long as you're going to reelect them. And here's the thing about Congress. In Congress, did you know that 97% of incumbents get reelected to Congress? 97%. That's Republican, that's Democrat, that's Independents, that's Green Party, that's Liberal, whatever it is, in Congress, 97% of incumbents get reelected. That's crazy to me. You're telling me that of all of the people that are in Congress, we can't find anybody better from any one of the states to go up there, that 97% of them are going to be reelected year after year after year after year? That's why I say the people are stupid. So you're probably pretty smart, right? I do okay. Everybody I know as an individual does okay. But collectively, we're a total shit show. We are just absolutely a mess. And when I say that, collectively, all of us can be dumb, but not all of us can be as dumb as all of us together. And that's how you elect a socialist to New York. So to New York, good luck with all that, right? So you elected a 35-year-old person to run either the largest or second largest city in the United States. Hey Siri. Oh, wait a minute. Where's my phone? Hey Siri. Uh, According to you, what is the largest city in the United States of America?
Okay, I found this on the web for Where's My Phone? Hey Siri, according to you, what is the largest city in the United States of America? Check it out.
You didn't help me. Hey Siri, what's the largest city in the United States? We're gonna try it
The
again.
answer I found is New York City.
New York City. 35-year-old guy with no executive branch experience at all. Never been in the mayor's office, never been in the governor's office, never been in a presidential thing. 35-year-old popped up out of nowhere and said, I'm going to run. I've got a little bit of a name for myself. I got some money behind me. I'm the socialist. I'm going to promise people free groceries. I'm going to promise people grocery stores, free buses, and freeze rents. And they fell for it. They fell for it. This guy has no idea what he's doing, right? He doesn't know what emergency management is. He doesn't understand when snowstorms hit or when hurricanes hit or when other natural disasters hit. The guy has no idea about that. The American people don't care what people know about politics. They just want to see good looking, tall people or pretty people, very pretty people who have an eloquence with their language and their demeanor. Uh, Ronald Reagan is a great example. Barack Obama is a great example. Donald Trump, sort of, right? So he's got this ambiance about him, right? So people are attracted to certain people, whether they're dumb, whether they're smart, whether they're great politicians, whether they're lousy politicians, whether they understand how the systems work, whether they understand how the government, the judicial branch, the legislative branch, and the executive branch are supposed to work together. So he can promise all these things, but I don't know where he's going to get the money because the city council is supposed to be approving the money. They got 5 different boroughs. Is he going to do that in every single borough? How's that going to work? I don't understand how he thinks that he's just going to be a cakewalk, just go in there and go, hey, I'm freezing rents. As soon as he does that, he's going to be taken to court. Now he's got to have an entire law office take on the, hey, I said we're going to freeze rents because they do have price controls in New York City. So they already have some price controlled housing, but everybody thinks that, hey, my rent is going to be frozen. Right, your rent's going to be frozen. Then what happens when you get evicted? What happens when that property is sold out from underneath you? What happens when all of the rich people take all their toys and all their money and move to Florida or Texas? What happens then? Or Arkansas? I don't want anybody to move to Arkansas. I'm perfectly happy. We got 3.2 million people here in the state of Arkansas. Perfectly happy. Nobody moved to Arkansas. Nobody moved to Arkansas. It sucks here. There's nothing but a bunch of hillbillies missing a bunch of teeth. And they're yeehaw. And the college is the Hogs, the Razorbacks. Oink, oink. Right. So stay away from Arkansas. You don't want to come here. It's absolutely terrible. It's horrible. If I could move, I don't want to lie. I don't want to lie and tell you I would move. I'm very happy in Arkansas. So, but people are stupid when we start voting for stuff that we don't understand. Because if you understand the way that socialism has worked around the world, there's example after example after example of it not working. The Soviet Union is a classic example of Soviet style socialism not working. You want to know why? Because the politicians that get in there, they decide what to do with everybody's money. So everybody pitches in, and then somebody has to distribute that out. So they come up with great rules and they go, hey, everybody that's working, put your money in this great big huge pot. And then we're going to provide food for everybody, healthcare for everybody, education for everybody, transportation for everybody. We're going to provide clothing for everybody. We're going to provide everybody with their basic needs. Well, if you're going to provide me with my basic needs, why do I need to work? I'll let somebody else do all the work. And then I will just reap the rewards of the socialistic society. And because individual effort is not rewarded in socialist, everything that you do has to contribute to the entire structure, right? So you can't be special. You can't be special. You can't go start a company. You can't go be the next Elon Musk because everything that Elon Musk did now doesn't benefit Elon Musk. It benefits the entire thing, right? So Elon Musk goes, hey, I got an idea for a great car. And the government goes, well, you got to give the car to us. And we're going to decide what to do with it. We're going to use your intellectual brain power and your technology, and we're going to distribute that. You don't get anything out of it. You just get the normal rations that everybody else gets, right? So if everybody gets a fish and a loaf of bread and a gallon of iced tea every single week to live on, whether you're young or old, what gives you any incentive to be spectacular, to try to get ahead, to be better, right? So communism and socialism breeds mediocrity because you can't be special in that. Everybody's poor together. There's no lifting up. There's no getting ahead. There's no being better. There's none of that shit because the government takes it all. And then the government decides how to distribute that throughout society. And they go, oh, well, the first people that are going to get it are going to be this demographic. And that's usually the rich politician demographic because they got to make sure that they have cars so they can go to their meeting. They got to make sure that they have gas so they can go to the meeting. They have to make sure that they're well fed so they can go to their meetings. They have to make sure that they're well fed so they can communicate with each other. Then the next tier is going to be the political leaders in all of the cities. And all those political leaders also want to stay in charge. So they're only going to do the best they can to kiss the people in the proletariat's ass. And then they're going to have to, they can shit on all the people below them because the only people you have to impress is the boss. And when you're one of the people, there's no impressing anybody. You got to climb up into one of those rungs of power in order to benefit as a society because socialism is a 3-tiered system. You have everybody at the top that has everything that they want. You have the middle tier, which are the enforcers across there, right? So that's the police, that's the mayors, that's the executive branches in all of the cities that are enforcing the rules that nobody gets ahead and we will distribute all the goods. Well, if you're in the business of distributing the goods, that means that you're the middleman. And a lot is dumped off in the middleman. So the middle people inside of this structure of the people that have all of the control and all of the money and all of the everything, it trickles down out of them into the second level. And then the second level, sometimes they keep it all, sometimes they distribute it, sometimes they don't, sometimes they give it away as favors, sometimes they use it to leverage their personal agendas. But all of the people in the middle level are definitely above all the people on the bottom level. So the majority of people end up on the bottom level. This happened in North Korea. It happened in East Germany. It happened in Russia. It happens in China. It happens in many places in the Middle East. Everywhere that they tried. So it's like Venezuela went from so damn rich to they're eating zoo animals down in Venezuela because the socialists took over and says, look here, I'm going to promise you everything. I'm going to promise you pie in the sky. And all of the stupid people fell for it. They were like, hey, this sounds great. So as soon as that guy got in, you know what the first thing he did? He said, I'm going to suspend all future elections. So the only person that can be in charge is me and my cronies. Now we're going to collect everything. We're going to take all the stuff from everybody. We're going to governmentalize. We're going to socialize. We're going to get rid of all the private businesses. And we're going to take over all of the private businesses. That's the first thing they did. So all of the truly talented people that were running all of the businesses throughout the country of Venezuela were now out of a job, or they were forced to work for these government henchmen and be their puppets and run the companies the way that they wanted them to run, although it was completely contradictory to the way that you would make a profit in a company. I got a saying, if you're not expanding, you're dying. You're regressing. By holding your own and staying still, you are regressing because the world is always going to advance around you. That's why we don't have dial-up phones anymore, right? The world is advancing. That's why we just don't have the iPhone anymore. That's why we have miniature computers in our pocket. I could hardly wait to see what's next. Elon Musk is taking it one step further, and he's put up a satellite network that all of our phones are now going to be connected wirelessly through satellites. So you remember when you used to have to pay for minutes, and most of us now have a all-inclusive plan for voice, text, and messaging and all of that other stuff? That's the way the world works. So it advances. Can you imagine still having dial-up? Could you imagine still cranking on your phone in order to do that? That's what the big problem is. People don't think that as soon as you get into socialism, everything stagnates because the people that are in charge don't know what the fuck they're doing. They go, oh, they promise everything, but they can't deliver. You want to know why they can't deliver? Because it's impossible for them to deliver. They don't know about the oil industry. They don't know about the car industry. They don't know how electricity works. They don't know how plumbing works. They don't understand the basics of economics and what makes something successful and what makes something not successful. They don't have a fucking clue about what is going on and actually makes the world work. So everything devolves into black markets, which is below the radar of the government. And that's the way that people sustain themselves in Russia, in China, in East Germany, all across the Eastern Bloc. There's example after example after example of failed socialist states, and the dumbasses in New York just said, hey, let's try it again because we got a good-looking dude and he can talk a great game, and I don't give a what he says. We're going to go with this and try it anyway. That's why people are stupid and governments can't be trusted. So I hope you enjoyed the show. I enjoy bringing it to you. I always love talking about the differences between capitalist society and a republic as a organization. Why I believe that we got the structure that we have of the Constitution of the United States in order to avoid things like socialism. But here's what the deal is. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you showing up. Remember, Mickey in the middle of the week, 9 p.m. Central, most Wednesdays when I get around to it. Also, like, share, tell all your friends about it. Subscribe if that's an option for you. Remember, I love you, and I will see you next week. Take care. Love you. Peace.